Are you tired of feeling like you have so much to offer in your work, but it's just not coming through? Watching what everyone else is doing and wondering whether that will work for you? Stop that right now. You've come to the right place because here on the Cosmic Queen podcast with me, Rachel Starr, you're going to discover your genius, your gifts, and how you can use your iconic cosmic blueprint to create the business and lifestyle you crave. I started my business as a side hustle alongside my successful career in tech. When I had my son during lockdown, I knew it was time to leave the corporate jungle for the entrepreneur's adventure. I'm a 2-5 manifesting generator with a Sag midheaven archetype, and I've built it all my way. Now I'm going to teach you to do the same. This is a no cookie cutter advice zone. Here we use personalized and effective systems like astrology and human design to work smarter, not harder, and have a damn good time doing it. Welcome to the Cosmic Cutting Edge. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cosmic Queen podcast. I am so excited for this very special episode today. I have in the virtual studio with me a fabulous human being, Robert Anthony. Welcome, my love.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And it's
I am so excited. Like, we're going to have the best conversation. This is going to be super, super juicy. Today's episode is going to be all about Pluto in Capricorn. And I'm going to explain to you, don't worry, exactly why you need to care about that, exactly why this is super important, why this is such a big deal, and how you can learn from what we're discussing and support yourself through this very major once in a lifetime transit. So before we dive in, I want to introduce Robert really quickly. So Robert is one of my amazing clients. We have been working together since late last year, and he is just such a joy to be around. Our Gemini moons just are Gemini mooning with each other. Like, we love it. It's so fun. And you need to immediately go and follow him on social media because he just has the best takes, and he's super entertaining, super interesting, and just an all-around great person. But let me give you his official bio. Okay, so Robert Anthony has established himself as a multi-hyphenate talent. Yes, I just have to shout out manifesting generators right here. Okay, multi-hyphenate talent. Hear this? This is your superpower. Combining his experiences as a performer, backpacker, globetrotter, expat, and international cabin crew. As a child, Robert trained as a vocalist and then ended up moving to Los Angeles. During his young adulthood in the entertainment industry, music, TV, and film, Robert then ignited a passion for global travel and cultural exploration. Transitioning from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the allure of distant lands, Robert spent several years traveling the world, seeking personal growth and embracing the carefree lifestyle of an international globetrotter, also very manifesting generator. After a year in Sydney, Australia, Robert pursued a position I lost my spot, as a position as cabin crew for Emirates Airline in Dubai. He worked there for nearly 5 years until the pandemic. His fictionalized memoir, which chronicles the journey, is currently being edited and pitched for publication. Huzzah! Coming to bookstores everywhere soon. Robert has cultivated a strong online presence, inspiring and entertaining his followers by sharing his passions for travel, fitness, biohacking, astrology, spirituality, and his experiences in the entertainment industry. Robert, I'm so excited that we get to do this. We've been talking about doing a podcast for so long. We're probably going to be doing more than one, but thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to talk about this topic. It's going to be so intense and fun.
Yeah, this is such an intense topic. Let me introduce our topic for today and shout out to everyone who's watching us on social media. We are simultaneously streaming to my TikTok, your TikTok. Like, we're just everywhere. You know, you can't avoid us. Like, we're everywhere. Hi, everyone. Shout out. So today, yes, and it's your first live. Oh, it's even more perfect. So what we're going to talk about today is Pluto in Capricorn. So today it's September 3rd. We have just experienced a huge like shift, a big transit that is a once in a lifetime thing, which is Pluto moving back into Capricorn from Aquarius for the final time in our lifetimes. Now, Pluto is the most distant planet in our solar system. Yes, it is a planet. They recategorized it as a dwarf planet. And it moves very slowly through the zodiac. So Pluto, the planet of transformation, the planet of power dynamics, the planet of endings and beginnings, has been in Capricorn for the last 16 years. It takes about 248 years for Pluto to go through the entire zodiac, all 12 signs, and it's been in Capricorn for the last 16. Now we're at this really interesting transition point where it's trying to move into Aquarius, but it's kind of has retrograde. So it's going back and forth into Capricorn. And so we're getting all of these opportunities as human beings to kind of reflect on the last 16 years, reflect on how we've transformed, reflect on what we've learned, and really tap into the wisdom to support us for this new era. So today we're going to be talking a lot about the old era, the past, but all of this is really setting us up for this new era of Pluto in Aquarius. You know, people talk about the Aquarian age, right? Pluto in Aquarius is major Aquarian age vibes for the next 20 years, starting from November 20th of this year. For the next 20 years, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius. And so that's going to be a whole different shebang. And that's a different podcast for another time. But today, let's talk about Pluto and Capricorn. And I'm so excited that Robert's here to talk about this with me, because this transit particularly has been an intense one for Robert, because it is hitting his chart in a very specific way. So if you're listening to this or watching this and you have Capricorn sun, Capricorn rising, Capricorn moon, or Capricorn on one of the angles. So let's say rising sign, the IC, which is not talked about as much in astrology, but it's still a very important angle, the descendant, which is the opposite of the rising sign, or the midheaven. If you got Capricorn in any of those placements, you have been going through a major personal transformation over the last 16 years that is defining for the rest of your life. The rest of us have been going through a transformation that's important, but for you, it's even more defining. So if you write a memoir like Robert, this is probably going to be a major chapter, or the themes of this last 16 years are going to be major chapters for you. So let me just talk about what Pluto and Capricorn represents. So we already talked about Pluto as the planet of transformation, right? So all of us have been through a big, deep transformation. And what that means is that something needed to be brought to the surface that we weren't aware of, something needed to end, and so that something new could begin. That's been happening for the last 16 years. Depending on what house you have Capricorn in, that's the house that's been transformed. And I'll probably, Robert, before we start our chat, just go through a really quick of like 1 to 12 house, like what the themes of the houses are. But Capricorn, gives us a little bit more information. So Capricorn is about responsibility, power. It can definitely be about money as well, rules as well. So whatever your transformation is, it's going to be about that. So where did you need to take more responsibility? Where did you need to create new rules and break the old ones? Where did you need to recognize where you are giving your power away and where you need more empowerment? So really quick, let me go through the 12 houses. So if you have Capricorn in the first house, that means that you've been going through a huge identity shift. If you have Capricorn in the second house, that means that you've been going through a major money shift. So it's been a money transformation around those things: responsibility, power, and rules. Third house, it's about your voice and your self-expression, how you express yourself. Fourth house, it's about home and family and your relationship with home and family, whatever that means. Fifth house, it's about your relationship with your inner child and how you play and enjoy life. Dating is also in the fifth house. If you have Capricorn in the fifth house, I'm sorry, you've had a tough time the last 16 years. Then we have sixth house. Sixth house is health and your lifestyle. Seventh house is what is it? Seventh house is marriage and partnerships. It can be business partnerships as well. So that's been a big area of transformation around responsibility, power, and rules for you if you have Capricorn in the seventh. Then we have the eighth house. Eighth house is all the taboo stuff that we don't talk about around the dinner table. So sex, other people's money, and then power dynamics, like who's got power over who. That's all in the eighth house. Then you've got Capricorn in the ninth. That would be your worldview and also travel. So maybe you've traveled a lot in the last 16 years, or maybe you've changed your beliefs in the last 16 years. 10th house, career and reputation. 11th house, network and community. And then we have the 12th house, which is all about spirituality and healing of the subconscious. If you have Capricorn in the 12th house, which we are going to talk about a lot today, then there may be a way that you have felt trapped, by the rules, by responsibility, by, imbalance of power. You felt trapped over the last 16 years, and you've been learning how to free yourself. So that's a little quick whirlwind through the 12 houses. Robert, there's so many questions that we need to talk about, but let's kick this off with how have the last 16 years felt for you? I know you have Capricorn in a very important placement. Do you want to reveal where you have Capricorn?
Yeah, that was a great overview. And I think it's important to say to everyone listening, even if you're not tuned into all of this, it doesn't mean it's not happening. So it's only the past couple years that I've understood what's going on and then been able to debrief with mentors like Rachel and astrologists and understand. And then you can kind of look back and be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So for me, I have a 29-degree rising sign in Capricorn. So my ascendant is Capricorn, and they call that the anaretic degree. It's the final
Anaretic degree. Yeah, some people call it the crisis degree as well, or the transformation degree. So yeah, it's major. 29 degrees. If you've got any planets at 29 degrees, pay attention to those.
Yeah, so my rising sign is 29, so that means Pluto's been in my 12th and first house.
Yes.
So I wouldn't really know what to have said prior to probably 2 to 3 years ago, but these past couple years when he's been directly bouncing around my ascendant has been incredibly tough, just emotionally, mentally, all the things.
All the
Just
things physically, all the
bringing everything up. But those themes that you talked about before, now I can look back and say, oh yeah, that definitely did happen. I definitely did travel a lot. I definitely did try to break out of what I felt was confining in my life. So yeah, all of those
yeah.
have been definitely occurring.
Yeah, no, this is so beautiful. It's really interesting, having a major planet like Pluto on your rising sign, on your ascendant, is such a huge, moment in your life, and it lasts for a while. So it's not just a transit that's going to last one day, right? As you said, it's lasts a few, 2 or so years that this is right. Pluto has been dancing around 29 degrees Capricorn. And so, for you, this would have meant that you're going through this big transformation, this new era around your identity. So since 2008, would you say that that's true?
Yeah, for sure. When I was listening to you explain all the different houses, I was thinking wow, I wish Capricorn was in my career house because that's how I began my young adult life, right? So I'm in my late 30s now, I guess. And in my early 20s, I moved to Los Angeles pursuing a career in entertainment. So I think perhaps if I had Capricorn there, it would have
Yeah.
been a lot more successful in the way that I wanted it to. But what
Although, wait, can I mention something there just to interrupt you? So I just had a quick look just to remind myself, so your rising sign is Capricorn. So the last 2 years especially have been, all those themes of identity. But then the ruler of your rising sign is Saturn, which is in the 10th house. So it's really interesting. So you've also been experiencing simultaneously. So everyone look at where Saturn is as well. which house you have Saturn in, you've also been experiencing this transformation around your career as well. And that's not necessarily going to feel comfortable. I mean, definitely Pluto is not comfortable, right? Pluto is like, let's burn this place to the ground and start over. So, have you been feeling that, especially in the last like couple of years, but also the last
In the
16?
last couple of years, I feel it's been very much a personal transformation, really looking at things in my life that have
Mhm.
come to the surface, and I've had to take a hard look and be like, does this serve my highest version of myself or serve the version of myself that I want to move forward with? And
Mhm. Mhm.
there's been many personal things I've dealt with, but in the years prior, it was always about trying to change the course or the script of like what everyone else was doing and what I felt like, why do I have to do it that way? Like, why do I need, after I graduated college, why do I need to get a career and work a 9 to 5? I want to see the world. So then I went and I did that. So
Yeah.
I feel like he was always, I guess, there kind of guiding me to these
Mhm.
experiences that ultimately
Yes.
led to this moment now when he's been directly over my ascendant, focused on my identity and kind of feeling like, okay, like who do I want to be now? It just feels like a major internal shift
Yes.
that I'm aware of versus, people that just continue to go about their life the same way and they never really change or evolve.
Oh, I love it. I'm so impressed by you and your openness to evolution and your openness to change. And I think part of that could be that you are a manifesting generator in human design, and you have this Gemini moon, and you like to be inspired by life and to try new things. But then again, like, you have also a lot of fixed energy in your chart too. But I think what's really interesting is that, Pluto's going to transform us no matter what. We're going to feel the Pluto energy. But I think the people that come out of these transits on top, the people who are like winning at the Pluto transformation, are people who are not resisting it. And I think
Mhm.
this is one of your superpowers, is not resisting change and evolution. You're actually very much someone who I would say leans into it. Have you always been that way? Have you always been kind of like, all right, here we go?
Yeah, that's so nice. I feel like maybe subconsciously, I think the past couple years, like really since the pandemic, it's been a value of mine, personal growth and personal mastery. So part of that is always trying to understand how you can optimize your mindset and
Yeah.
everything to live a better life, essentially.
Mhm.
Um, but I think for before that, I just think it was unconscious. Like I'd be like, all right, I want to start getting into fitness. So then I would take all of the steps and then master like bodybuilding. And then it would be like, okay, I want to, like, how else am I going to improve my life? Like, I'm not happy in LA. I want to leave. I want to travel when everyone is telling me, don't do that. Like, stay, you need
Yeah.
to pursue it. Like, and I would just follow my intuition. And then it led me to something crazy beautiful. Like, I would have never thought in my early 20s if you told me that I would have moved across the world to live in Australia. I lived in Australia for a year in
Mm.
my 20s. And then after that, I moved to Dubai. And when I was 23, I didn't even know where Dubai was. I didn't even know the UAE was a country, like for real. I ended
Yeah.
up there. So it's just interesting if you follow those course corrections. At the time, it felt like, oh, I'm leaving Los Angeles because things haven't really gone how I wanted them to.
Did it
But
feel like like a fail thing? Like, oh, I didn't achieve my goal. Mm.
yeah, it felt like because I was there very business minded. I was like, I want to get on Disney, I want to get on Nickelodeon, I want to get on Glee, like, and I want to do it by age 25, like,
Right.
because I'm gonna make money. And if
This
that
is
doesn't
very Capricorn rising, by the way, like having those goals, baby. Like, yes.
I didn't hit it. So I was like, all right, so what else can I do? So it felt like a correction, but it
Mhm.
ended up being, exactly what I needed, because then look at what my life has turned into since then. But I think
Exactly.
this recent transit on my ascendant, it has been about leaning into where it's uncomfortable, because I think you could just ignore it. But like
Like resist
personally,
it. Like, no, I don't want to do that. Mhm.
feel this, but I feel, especially in terms of like things that I've wanted to do to improve my just my overall lifestyle, I've had to be
Mhm.
like, okay, this is not comfortable, but I'm going to do it. So like one of those topics is like sobriety, wanting to be alcohol free. And that's been
Yes.
something definitely over the past, probably my journey with that started like around age 33. So the past like 4 years, but really the past like
Mhm.
1 year, it's like, all right, I'm going to commit to this. And that's what I did beginning in 2024, was
Amazing.
wanting to do that.
This is so incredible. I love this. Let's like talk about this topic of sobriety really quickly because this is, I know, a huge topic in the wellness world, but just in the mental health, emotional health, physical health. We're in Virgo season when we're recording this right now. So it's all about wellness, right? And we're thinking about, all right, what is my relationship to my body and what do I need to do to make new rules for my body? And what's really cool is that, for the majority of the last 16 years of Pluto transiting your chart, it's mostly been in the 12th house. And the 12th house is very connected to sobriety, very connected to the idea of, because it's ruled by Neptune, the 12th house, and it's about spirituality and connecting to other dimensions. And so, through certain substances, right, we are opening our mind, connecting to other places, other realms, da 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 da. And there's ways to do that in a healthy way, and there's ways to do that in a really unhealthy way. And so I think it's really beautiful that you have leaned into, and towards the end of this transit, have this new relationship with your sobriety and what does that mean to you. I mean, this is Pluto's transformation. Something had to end so that a new way could be created. What are the kind of new rules that you've made for yourself, and what could possibly inspire someone else like on their sobriety journey?
Well, I want to share first that I think this is also like the final test, right? This is like the
Yeah.
like I feel like last year was like the initiation.
Mm.
I was dancing on my ascendant like a lot, I think like back and forth, back and
Yes.
forth.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Mhm.
And then he's in Aquarius for a while. So for the past couple months, I felt good. And so I did my pledge wasn't, I'm not a very strict, I don't like strict rules. I think Rachel
Mhm.
design fits that.
It does.
Uh,
It does. And everyone's sobriety journey is different. So, mhm.
yeah. So I started with, I just wanted to do a 6 month commitment in the new year. And that was super easy for me to do. Once I said it, I did it. Then I broke it. As soon as I hit my 6 months, I was like, all right,
Mhm.
I evaluated my
I've
relationship with
achieved that goal.
I achieved, ready to, to see how I can, if I want to bring alcohol back into my life. So I basically took the summer off the past months, and I didn't really like where it led me. I felt like kind of almost like I was regressing, and I was like,
Mm.
I did all of this work, and then I'm going to go back to these same old ways. And so
Mm.
the past couple days, Pluto was adjunct on my ascendant, and
Mhm.
I felt like I needed to just take the step to show the universe, like, I want to commit to taking back my time and my energy, because it doesn't matter
Mm.
what the substance is,
Mhm.
alcohol, cannabis, social media scrolling, like sex, whatever it is. I realized that I have like an escapist tendency, and that's what my addiction would be. It's not really like alcohol. I'm not someone that would have
It's not
alcohol.
one thing, it's the escaping. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that concept of once you start, you want more and more and more. And that served my life, especially when traveling. I was an international party boy, no doubt. And I have really funny stories, and I made amazing friends and like had amazing muses, like all from that experience.
Mhm.
But if we're talking about being aware of how to grow from that, it's deciding that like that was a great chapter or
Mhm.
chapters of my life,
Yeah.
but that's what I want to bring forward. So
Right.
yeah, to
It's
answer,
not the next chapter,
it's not the
right?
next chapter. So to answer your question, I would say for sure I want to commit to like sobriety, alcohol-free lifestyle. Just works for me. I don't want to be doing the dance in between, like what I tried to do this summer. It's like holding yourself back, because I also want to start finding new friends, new community that don't revolve around the gay bar or drinking. And you can't really do that if you're kind of like dancing,
Yeah.
dancing in between.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is so beautiful. I hear so much of your wisdom as a 6-2 manifesting generator in there as well. You're such a role model. Thank you for sharing your personal story and your journey with this. I mean, it's so powerful. And one of my big takeaways from what you just shared is like being open to the evolution, as we talked about, but also being committed. Once you figure out the new quote unquote way or the new rules that you want to be responsible for, responsibility is commitment. So you have to be like, all right, I decided this is what I want my lifestyle to look like. This is how I want to treat my body. This is how I want to be socially. So I'm going to be committed to that now. And I think a lot of us, like, this is the perfect time to be making those decisions. You're getting a lot of likes on TikTok. Woo! So this is the perfect time to make those decisions, because this is the last time that Pluto has moved back into Capricorn, right? Between now and November 19th. We're in this kind of moment of looking back, reminiscing, not ruminating, reminiscing, reviewing what we've learned, and then making our commitment for our next era, for the next 20 years. What do we want our life to look like in that area where Pluto is transforming? And I think you've just inspired a lot of people with your story. So thank you for sharing that. Um,
Yeah. This also
what
made me think
about, yeah,
you
go
were
ahead.
the 12th house and
Yes.
addiction. I forgot. I don't even know if I ever told you, but that I went and I did ayahuasca. So that I feel like that's
Yeah.
very like
Yes, I was going to actually, that was my next question. I wanted to ask about the spiritual aspects, right? And so really interesting, like with the 12th house, do you feel like after this, long period of transformation around, your 12th house, that you have become more spiritual, or you have a different relationship to spirituality? And you don't have to go into detail, but just how do you feel about, do you feel like that's a major area of focus for you in the last few years?
made. And even though I'm a creative person and I was like a singer and an actor, I was not into any of this. Like really before 2020 is when I probably
Wow.
started really being like, not even until like 2021. I began my interest with astrology, I think like a lot of a way in the way a lot of people do, which is first just starting with the moon cycles and being like,
Oh,
okay,
yes, me too. Yeah. Mhm.
new moon manifest. So getting into that, and then you go deeper, deeper, and then you get into human design, and then you're just unpacking layers. In terms of spirituality, like I really thought you just died and went into the ground. Like, and I'm very like
Yeah.
I want science of stuff, like
Yeah.
to convince me, like whenever someone would talk
You're
about
very
science,
analytical. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
all right, like I'll listen, I'm open, but I would never really believed in it. But like post 2020 for sure, I just had my awakening. I went through a really rough time coming back, losing my job, coming back to America, all these things. And everyone has their awakening in a certain way.
Mhm.
And since then, the focus has been very much just trying to learn and grow and take accountability for, myself and understanding that really do control our lives with our
Yes.
thoughts, our behaviors, our actions, and everything. And that is kind of what spirituality means to me. But now that's a driving force. It's my driving ethos versus before I was just kind of reacting to life and maybe like,
Yeah.
manifesting subconsciously, but
Mm.
you're aware and you're intentionally doing
Mhm.
yeah. So the ayahuasca journey was interesting because I had, people you hear about ayahuasca and you've heard the
Yes.
documentaries, and a lot of people hear the bad side. So I remember even when I worked at Emirates, people were talking about how they would organize their trips to go do this, ayahuasca thing. And I was
Yeah.
like, never do that. That sounds crazy. Like I'm not gonna to the
Pluto's just laughing over there, like,
like, no. And they're like, yeah, then you go on a boat and these people take you like far into the, and I was like, no, like that sounds so silly. And
Mhm.
actually one day I was just like, all right, like, yeah, cool, let me try it. I didn't go on a boat in a jungle, but I did go to Costa Rica.
Oh, did
So
you do it in Costa Rica? Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
it's very important. Anyone listening, I think, because also like ayahuasca can be like glamorized too. And I think you have
Oh,
to
yeah.
really be called to it.
Hmm.
Also not necessary. I feel like now in the spiritual community, there's like really a lot of kind of propaganda. Like you need to go on these journeys. Like I'm sure you can reach the same thing states through like
You
mushroom
can.
work or
Yeah.
something like
You
you know,
can, even through things like breath work. So, it doesn't have to be a substance. It doesn't have to be working with Mama Aya. Like,
yeah.
I haven't been called to it either, but I have clients who have, and they've had incredible experiences. I know there are people who have had terrible experiences and not been guided properly through it. So, like anything in life, you have to take full responsibility for your choices on that journey, right? And I think that that's a huge part of what you've shared, is realizing that, oh, I don't have to just react to life. Like, I actually have a choice. I have agency. I have free will here to choose what I'm going to do next. And it sounds like that was a big kind of transformative thought or idea that you've now really embodied on your journey.
Yeah, and still integrating those lessons. I mean, I did
Yeah.
Iowa like 2 years ago, and you're still, you can go and have this great life altering experience, but nothing's going to come of it if you don't try to integrate and take action. It's the same thing with what Rachel was saying with, Pluto and being aware, and this kind of being like our graduation. Like, did we pass the test? Like, are we
Mhm.
ready for the next era? Because
Yeah.
it's coming, whether you're ready or not. Like November, we're done with this. So
Yep. We're done with this. We are done. We're going to be back in Pluto and Aquarius for the next 20 years. And yeah, in our lifetimes, we're not going to see it again. And so it's our opportunity, really. It's our invitation and our opportunity to say, what is the area of my life that I need to take more responsibility? How do I need to make my own rules now? I'm not listening to someone else's rules. I'm making my own. I'm choosing my own way. What I know that one of your big values is freedom, and that must have been really tested in a difficult but also a beautiful way, whether we're talking about your subconscious, your spiritual journey, or also your identity over the last 16 years. How have you, I don't know, like, I guess this is a very big question, but like, what does freedom mean to you? How important is it to you? How have you kind of reached for freedom in your identity?
I think freedom to me means just being able to create a lifestyle of your own design, really.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in this like matrix world we live in, that does have to do a lot with finances and being, I think that's the biggest kind of way to freedom. And that's what I have really felt the past couple years wanting myself to move towards. So I think even though I was always an actor and a creative, then you're always tethered to a W-2 or another job where you're trading
Yes.
time for money. And
Mhm.
then when I went to go become a flight attendant or a cabin crew with Emirates, I was happy to do that trade because what I was getting was such a reward. I mean, I was living in Dubai, going on luxurious layovers, like it's a whole glamorous package,
Mhm.
but they own you. So I was not free there. They own your schedule, they own your body. They like
Yep.
it's pretty intense there. And then
Mhm.
even just to come back to the US and work as a flight attendant here, it's the same thing. You're trading your time for money, which is really bad pay. And they control your schedule, and it takes like 30 years to kind of get to the schedule you want. So the past couple of years, I've just been dealing with like, all right, I really am tired of someone else like essentially owning these parts of me. Like I want to be autonomous. I want to work for myself. I want to make money in my own ways. I want to be an entrepreneur or have different income streams or
Mhm.
these different things. And that's why I came to Rachel. That's why I found her, was to work on those things. And then it all kind of started clicking. And she's like, oh no, baby, you need to be an entrepreneur. Like your chart is for a W-2. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
your chart is not to work for other people. Like, there's no way. And for those of you who are interested in, like, well, where is she seeing that? Okay, first of all, human design, you're a manifesting generator. You're someone who's here to be in charge of themselves, to do a variety of things. And most jobs, you're doing one thing, right? But as an entrepreneur or a multi-hyphenate, talented, influencer person of interest with all these different skills, having lots of different income streams is going to feel really satisfying to you rather than just one job where I do one thing. The other aspect was really looking at your Capricorn rising as well. So anyone who has strong Capricorn,
Contrast sometimes because the
yeah,
Capricorn stay there, get the paycheck, and like, become first class or purser at Emirates. Like,
Yes, yes. Capricorn is very ambitious. And yeah, exactly. And there's lots of ways that Capricorn can be ambitious. So you can be ambitious within a company for sure. But at some point, Capricorn's going to realize, oh, there's a ceiling to this. And Capricorn doesn't want ceilings. Capricorn wants the mountain where there is no top, and you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going. And what motivates people who are Capricorn rising, anyone, shout out to anyone listening on any of the socials, etc. Capricorn rising is like, your motivation is achievement. And so if there's a limit to what you can achieve, you're going to get very frustrated. And that's why a lot of people say Capricorn should be entrepreneurs, or especially people with Capricorn rising. So it makes sense. Anyway, I had to interject that. But I love what you're saying about freedom and how you've learned how to free yourself with that Capricorn on your ascendant. I mean, that is major. And the
well,
thing is, yeah, go
sorry,
ahead. No.
but it's in different ways, right? So when I was in, Los Angeles, I worked my butt off trying to
Oh yeah.
do entertainment. I was doing everything, building my resume. I was also putting myself through college. And then when I graduated college, I mean, I would be driving around all day to auditions, doing free stuff. So very ambitious in that sense. But when I felt trapped by the system, burnt out, not where I wanted to be financially with acting, then I left, and then I started traveling. And it's like, I feel like when I look back at all these different chapters, it's like each one I did to like the maximum. Like I didn't just go like travel.
Halfway.
And then I was like, okay, I'm a backpacker now. And now I'm literally living out of my backpack for like months at a time, like traveling with my friend, like going through Spain, Morocco, like Thailand, like craziness. And then it's like, all right, how can I combine this travel with more like of a steady lifestyle? So then I went to work for like the number one airline in the world. So
Yeah,
it's each chapter has been Capricorn influenced with wanting to be like, all right, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be like the best version of it.
I'm going all the way. And
Yeah.
that's why I have no doubt at all, like this new platform that you're creating, how you're writing your book, your memoir that's coming out, like you are going to do those also to the max. You are, I mean, best-selling author, community of people who are so inspired, so aligned, so excited to like learn and grow with you on your next adventure. Like there's so much coming for you, Robert. I'm just so excited. And I hope that this inspires anyone who's listening who has also been going through a tough time the last couple of years, has also been freeing themselves of the shackles of, whatever it is, society, finances, other people's expectations, old stories, whatever. Like you are just such a light and so inspiring. And so people need to go and follow you and find out what you're doing next. So tell me, what piece of advice would you give to kind of close our loop on this transformational discussion around Pluto? What advice would you give to someone who has been experiencing the endings of a lot of things and the new beginnings coming through? Like, what's something that really has supported you through all this?
I'd say if anyone's really going through it with Pluto or had like something similar on their ascendant, like definitely, as we said, you have to lean into it and just remember that it's happening for you. Like, and I know when people are going through a hard time, that's the worst thing to hear,
I know.
but is the lesson of
Yeah.
spirituality. It's in another sense, everything you wanted or your spirit wanted for yourself. So even if it feels hard and painful right now, it's directing you towards something or towards what your spirit wanted. And so the mission is to understand that and to take responsibility, because this past couple years when Pluto was right on my ascendant and all I wanted to do was like get blackout drunk, I could have. And
Mhm.
what would I have learned? Where would I have been? Then I probably would be repeating this pattern for my whole life. But
Mhm.
instead of numbing out and trying to escape, I had to say, like, okay, this might be really tough, but like, what does this mean that I should do? And it's always those things. I hate to shoot ourselves, but what would be the best thing for me to do if I want to live in alignment with my highest version? And
Mhm.
the hardest things are probably always the best things that you need to lean into, because um, that's where the growth comes from. And then
Mhm.
also just listen to your intuition. Like you are your own guru. I think we're hopefully getting into the age, or the Aquarian age will help people realize like you have the answers inside. For so long of my life, I was seeking externally, like, what should
Mhm.
I do? How do you do this? Like, what would you do in this situation? Like, oh, how are you working as like trying to become an actor? And like I would just like copy people, and
Mhm.
started realizing like they're telling me stuff and it's not working out really well. And then when I listen to myself, it works out better. So just trust your intuition, that quiet voice that's not like chitter chattering. It usually knows the best thing. Because my quiet voice would be like, Try so," versus like my
Try
mind would,
sobriety. Try
I can
this.
drink, I can still be a vacation drinker, or I can drink with special occasions, like when you start convincing yourself, that's like not your intuition.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, beautiful. So much support there for people, so much wisdom. And it's coming from the voice of experience. Like that's one of the things I love about you and your whole chart is about taking your experiences, like you said, leaning into it, being vulnerable and open, Scorpio midheaven, and then sharing it with others because you speak from a place of knowing because you've been through it. So powerful. Thank you, Robert. I love this. So what's next for you? How do people find you and connect with you? You're getting a lot of likes and hearts. People are sharing. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. That's amazing on TikTok.
And as well, and this is my first live, so thanks to everyone that tuned in. I've never done it before,
Yeah.
to the astrology podcast. Uh, what's next for me is I'm just continuing to try and build my platforms, call in my community. So if these values or experiences or stories are of interest to you, please do follow me on all platforms. I'm Flex around the world, like
Flex,
Flex.
flex around the world. Amazing. You're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube are your main ones, right?
All of those. And yeah, I'm working with my editor to clean up this book and manifesting the highest version of this publication. Let's
Yes. And if we have, I know we've got editors and agents in the audience as well. So anyone who's like an editor and agent and you want the new incredible like life story inspiration, do you want to say what you usually say about your book?
Yeah, my pitch is, which they always say don't compare it to another
No,
book,
but
but
this is good. This,
it's like the gay version of Eat, Pray, Love. It's about
yes.
going and traveling and finding yourself, but
Mhm.
also in the context of being a cabin crew at Emirates and the entire paradox that that system is. You go for your dream job, and then it doesn't necessarily end up being your dream job. And
Mhm.
that's very particular to Emirates in its entirety for anyone that work there, but aviation in general too, I think
I
most
love
people.
it. And because I'm behind the scenes with you, I get to hear the crazy, amazing, wild stories that you have. Like this book is going to be juicy. It's going to be so great for everyone, really inspiring, really interesting. You are the king of multi-hyphenate living. And I love it. I can't wait for people to discover you. So everyone go follow Robert on all the platforms, hype him up in his comments. And it's just been such a joy. We got to have you back next time. We should talk about the nodal return because you and I have both been going through the nodal return. Yeah, we got so much more stuff. We need to talk about the writing process. Like we're going to do another podcast later for sure. But thank you for being here with us today, Robert.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
Thank you. And for everyone else, go find out where Pluto in Capricorn has been activating your chart. Take all of the lessons and the learnings from Robert and our conversation today. You're going to be fine. You're going to get through it. This transformation is happening so that you can open up into your next era. As I always say, keep reaching for the stars.